All right, it says we are now streaming live on Facebook. So hi, I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late, everybody. All right, let me just make sure. Yep, it's there on Facebook. Oops. Let's do. Oh no. Hold on a second, guys. I just want to find you again. There we are. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. And let me get our broadcast going. Okay, so here we are on Zoom also. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I had this. Do you ever just have those times when you have this inspiration? And I was like, I want to change my office today. And so I did. And yeah, so it took up a little bit of my time this morning, and it's not quite done, but I'm feeling much happier with how it is. So welcome, welcome. I hope you're all well. All the time. So I invite you, hi Courtney, I invite everyone to say hello, say where you're coming in from. Go ahead and make sure that you're sending your messages to all attendees as well as all panelists. Otherwise, I'm the only one who will see them. And it's really great when you all get to see each other, okay? So go ahead, hi Connor, hi Courtney, there's a whole bunch more of you here. So please do go ahead. And those of you who are here on Facebook, joining us live there, please do go ahead and say hi there, and let us know what your human design type is, if you know what it is. I'm really curious during this series about the superpowers of the different types to know who's coming, because in the very first one we did, we had that was on generators, pure generators. It was all generators. And I was like, it's great for everybody to know about each other because we're here in this world together. And when we can understand each other, it can make such a huge difference. And we can depersonalize a lot of the challenges that we have. We can make them not about you feel this way about me, and so therefore you act this way, or I feel this way about you, and therefore I act this way. It's like, it's when we understand our human design and really the depth of it and the breadth of it and all of it. Of course, I'm an advocate for that because I love it. I'm a specialist. But even just knowing our types, okay, can make such a huge difference. Our types and our strategies, where it can make us understand each other much, much better. And so I really encourage you, if you have not been a part of this series so far, this is the third in the series about the superpowers of the human design types. We started with pure generators, then manifesting generators. Today we're doing projectors. Next week we're going to do manifestors, and then reflectors. So we're going to do all the types. I encourage you to check out all of them, because you're going to have all of these people with these different types in your life. And they may be your partner, they may be your kids, they may be your siblings or your parents, co-workers, and knowing this information can be enormously beneficial. Okay, great, good. So we've got, let's see, we've got Shelly, who's coming in, who's a manifestor coming from Arizona, and Kamala, who's from here from Northern California. And oh, I might not say your name right. You'll have to tell me. Luba Bakalova, what a wonderful name. Tell me if I said it right, is here from Westchester, New York, and they are a mental projector. Courtney's a projector. Linda's a projector from Northern California. Hi, Linda. Netta is here, who is a projector from Austin. See, all these projectors, right? You want to know about yourself, which is great. But I want the rest of the world to know about you projectors also. So I'm just going to keep beating this drum as much as I can for a while. All right, Catherine is here as a projector. Angelica is also a projector. Yes, Maria is also a projector. It's just very interesting. Okay, great. And Rebecca's also a projector. Karine is also a projector. Sharon is a manifesting generator. Yes, thank you. Oh, good, I got your name right. All right, and then we've got Simri. Oh, hi, Simri. Good to see you, honey. I wish I did see you, but I want to just say hi. I actually want to talk to you. I have something I want to I have a project I want to ask you to participate in with me. Anyway, and she's an emotional projector, and there's Karen, who's a manifestor. Okay, so you notice I think we only have one generator. No manifesting generators, they're too busy. So it cracks me up. Oh, okay, thank you, Lisa. She says that she only found about these webinars yesterday, others she's been here for the others. So I want to make sure you all know, especially if you're joining us more recently, like Lisa is that all of these webinars are available inside of the Sovereignty by Design Facebook group. And so if you haven't joined that group, if you're not a part of that group, you can just find it on Facebook. Just Google but search inside of Facebook for Sovereignty by Design group, because I also have a business page that I'm starting to build. Then you can just ask and I'll bring you in there. And since I mentioned the other one, I would so appreciate it if you would go to the Sovereignty by Design business page, which is a new page for me, and go and like it and follow it. It would be awesome. It would really help me a lot, and it'll start getting the algorithms going. And so we can really be building the presence of this new brand of mine. And I would so appreciate your help for that. One of the reasons that it'll be great for you to do too is that starting in just a few weeks, so I'm going to complete the superpowers by type. And then starting on August 26th, every other week, bi-weekly, we're going to have interviews that fit under Sovereignty by Design. And these first ones are going to be on health sovereignty. And they're going to be by two friends of mine they're both, one of them is an MD. The other one, I can't remember exactly she's definitely a medical professional and I don't think she's an MD, but she's, anyway, she's awesome. They're both awesome, super intelligent, really well, learned, very skilled. And they're both going to be talking about health sovereignty. And one of them is going to be talking about health sovereignty in relation to our genes. And the other one is going to be talking about health sovereignty in relation to our immune systems. And so those are the first two, but these will be happening every other week. And then they'll also be repurposed as podcasts later. But those will be streaming on the business page. Okay, so I want to start orienting you all to get over there. It'll also be streamed via Zoom. So if you're used to coming in via Zoom, that's totally fine. You can come in that way. But then I'll be streaming them over on that other page. And then every other week, I'll continue to teach inside of the group. Okay, so just so you have an idea of where we're evolving to as time goes on. Let me just make sure that we're streaming over there. Oh, okay, so who's here on Facebook? Megumi, hi Megumi, who's here from Florida, who is a projector. Georgia, who's a generator. And Mary, who is a projector. See, isn't that interesting? And now you projectors, don't you want the other people in your life to understand you? Of course you do, because I think projectors are some of the most misunderstood and have specific types of challenges because projectors are really a different animal than what I think we have had in our world, and certainly who have that we've thought of as our kind of main archetypes. Okay, so we will dive into that more in a minute. All right. Simri, you don't care if they understand you. Well, Simri, you know what? You're a wise woman. You're a wise woman. You're at a point in your life where you may not care because you are now a wise woman and you're so in your power, and you know that it may not matter to you at this point. But think about yourself maybe 20 years ago. Maybe you would have cared more then. I don't know. But it's totally fine if you don't care. I mean, yeah, anyway, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Okay, let me share my screen. Let me get started with this. And I just want to, I mean, there's a whole bunch more of you here on Zoom, so I just encourage you to continue to come on in and say hello. All right. Oh, before I do that, I also want to invite you to put your comments, your ahas, your questions. I will save time always for questions at the end. We usually have a pretty lively interaction the last 15 minutes or so. Sometimes a little longer than that to go over the hour. I usually like to stay on as long as you all want to interact. And so I'm happy to do that. And then yeah, and then also your main takeaways, like what, just one, sentence, one phrase, this is what I got out of today. And because that helps you to stay focused on what you're hearing and what you're receiving, so that you're like, oh wow, that's a thing that kind of penetrates that I can take with me. And then it also helps me know what value you received from what it is that I'm sharing with you today. And then that helps me know how else to continue to develop my programs and what else to teach about and all of that. So, and also, so here's the thing, I'm a generator, right? So I'm designed to respond. I like you to respond. I'm inviting you, all you projectors, I'm inviting you to share your comments, to share your questions, and to share your ahas and what you learned. Okay, I'm inviting you to all do that. And then that gives me something to respond to. So this is one of the ways that when we know about our designs, how, and our types, how we can work with each other. Okay, all right. Let me bring up my slides for today. Okay, so today we are talking about projector superpowers. And let's see, so I think I went over all of this already today. Yes, replays are in the Sovereignty by Design Facebook group. Some of them are also up on my YouTube channel, and I'll let you know more about that. And that's a great place to go and to send people also. And then, like I said, we're going to have the Manifestor and then the Reflector superpowers. And then we're going to start with the Sovereign Sister Salons that are happening with our 2 health professionals. All right. Also want to let you know that I recently reopened a class that I did earlier in the year called Activate Your Superpowers. And actually, I think some of you who are on today, I know Simrit, you took it before. Some of you may have taken it before. Some of you are already enrolled in this. And I invite you to just share anything that you got out of that class, or if you've just started taking it, why you decided to take it, what you're excited about it. I'm going to give you special pricing through next week, and a special bonus if you want to say yes now. Okay, and I'll come back to that towards the end. But if you want to go and check it out, let me just see. Let's see, where's my chat? Where's my chat? Oh, there it is. Let's see here. It is. So it's Sovereignty by Design, which is my new website, which is gorgeous, I have to say myself. And go check it out if you haven't seen it, and let me know what you think of it. Activate your superpowers. There you go. It's in the chat if you want to go check it out. And I'll come back to it a little bit later. But it's a great course, and I'm really excited about being able to offer it to you. I'll come back to that later. Okay. So I always like to start with the mandala, and to remind us that whatever our type is, whatever our definition is, we all have access to all of the energies in the chart. We just experience them differently depending on our type and depending on whether or not they're colored in or whether or not they're white. Now, I'm not going to talk, well, I'm going to talk about openness and definition today, because I think some of the ways that people tend to think about projectors, it's actually not 100% accurate. And we want to unpack that a little bit, and that does have to do with their definition. Okay, so that's just reminding you, whatever is colored in your chart and whatever is white in your chart, you have access to all of those archetypes, the 9 centers, the 36 channels, and the 64 gates. Some of them are going to be really consistent in how you experience them, and some of them are going to be variable. That's the main distinction. Okay, so projectors are an interesting bunch, because projectors are defined by what they don't have, not by what they do have inside of what their body graph looks like. Okay, so projectors don't have their sacral defined, like pure generators do and manifesting generators do, which we went over the last couple of weeks. It's that red square in the chart. Let's think this person's a generator. So yeah, here, which is this, right? So projectors don't have this defined, right? They don't have a motor to the throat like manifestors do, or manifesting generators for that matter. Let me go back to this person. Do they have, no, they don't have a motor to the throat either. Okay. So I'll show you a little bit more what this means here, but it means they don't have the powerhouse going to the throat. If they did, and they didn't have the sacral defined, that would make them a manifestor. Okay. And then they have at least one channel with two centers defined. Okay. That's how the centers get defined, is when there's a channel. Okay. So they do have that. Everything else is up for grabs, and it looks really different in different types of charts. So let's take a look. These are all projectors, okay? And they all look really different from each other, right? So you can see some of them have a lot of definition, like this person here in the middle, right? Has 7 centers defined, right? Only the head and the sacral is open. My human design teacher has a kiddo, I think she's about 10 now, who's a projector. She has every center defined except for her sacral. Okay. She's completely defined except for her sacral. Interesting, right? Because we tend to think of projectors as being a little bit more like this person down here, right? Who only has 2 centers defined, or this person over here who has 3, or this person who has 2, or this person has 2. We tend to think of the projectors as being a little bit more like this, but they don't have to be. You can see this person over here has got 5 of the centers out of the 9 centers defined. So it's not just that they don't have the centers, right? Um, uh, so so Lisa, in order for your spleen to be defined, you have to have a channel. You have to have another center. Otherwise, your spleen can't be defined. That's how a center gets defined, is through a channel. Okay. Yes, the recording, as I said earlier, kind of the recording is available inside of the Sovereignty by Design Facebook group. Okay, so let me continue. So I just want to point out, because sometimes people think, oh, I'm a projector. I'm not going to have that much energy. I really have to take, I'm going to be, I'm going to be so subjected to everybody else's energy. Like, for example, with this person who has only 2 centers defined, right? Not so necessarily. Okay. And this is where I didn't put her chart up here, but I have a client who I just completed with, who is older, okay, significantly older than I am, has more energy than I do. She's a projector. She's enormously fit. So it is not a sentence to you to be a projector, but you do have to take care of yourself. You have to know your design, and what you need to understand, what you need and what you don't need. Now, for example, this person over here, this is Barack Obama, okay, is a 2-motor projector. Okay, so he's got 2 motors defined. So that's in his favor that he has 2 motors defined. This person has 3 out of the 4 motors defined. Okay, so this person, I don't know who the rest of these people are, but this person is going to have a lot of energy too, because they have 3 motors. Let's take a look at the motors again. We talked about these before, but so the 4 motors here are the will center, the emotional solar plexus, the sacral, and the root. And the sacral is the most powerful engine in the chart. Okay. And that is what gives generators and manifesting generators are almost inexhaustible energy. But you can also have other motors defined, like this person, like I said, has 3 motors defined. Barack Obama has 2 motors defined. Now, this person, okay, he's going to have more natural energy than this person over here or this person over here, because they have no motors defined. Okay, there's no motors defined here. There's no motors defined here. Okay. Now, having said that, I'll just go back to what my earlier statement was, which is that just because it's white in your chart doesn't mean you don't experience that energy. What it means is you don't have ongoing, ready, reliable, consistent, even fixed way of experiencing that energy. So you pick it up from other people and you amplify it. So if you even bring, this person together with this person, you're going to have even more energy, because they're going to stimulate some more centers in each other's charts. Okay. So it's not a sentence to having no energy just because you're a projector, which is, I think, one of the misconceptions about projectors. I mean, you can't run for president and be president for 8 years and not have energy. Okay. And I know he turned white during his term, but every president turns white during their term, unless they're heavily dyeing their hair, as some of our presidents do. So I think that's really important. Now, the thing is that depending on what the definition is going to impact that person's what they're, and this is true for everyone, okay, where you're defined. Now, I'm just going to take a couple of examples here because we don't have time to go super deep into all of this, but let's take this person here, okay? And you can see that this person has the G is defining the throat here, okay? So whether the throat is defined or not is not what makes a projector, okay? It's just that it doesn't have a motor to the throat. Like you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these projectors have their throat defined, but none of them have a motor to the throat, okay? But because you've got the G going right up here into the throat on this projector, and it's also going through these storytelling gates, this person is going to be a really powerful storyteller, okay? And so this 33 here is going to be at the 13 also. This is going to be a really powerful, because this is the only defined channel in this person's chart. So this particular channel is going to be super important for them. And Barack also has the 33 defined. This actually his conscious sun is in the 33, which is a storytelling gate. And it's one of the things that he's known for is the potency of his stories, right? So this person is also going to be, and this is also the love coming up into the throat. So this person is going to be expressing one of their higher faculties. Is going to be able to be expressing the love through stories out into the throat. Whereas this person down here, who has a defined will center and a defined spleen, is going to have, actually this person has a lot of power around sales. Actually, I do know this person. It's a former client of mine, has a lot of power around sales, because this is the channel traditionally in human design is the channel of sales. And so this person, this is going to be really important for them because they only have 2 centers, and this is this one channel. And so and she does have some energy that comes from her in this will, but the will is known for needing to work to rest. Okay, work to rest. So this person definitely needs to rest. And one of the things that we talked about a lot when she was coaching with me was how much she needs to rest. Now, if you do have all of these open, you definitely you're gonna need time to move away from other people, and then to have all this extra energy drain out of your system. But it doesn't mean that you have to be exhausted. It just means that you do need to have, if any of you have a chart that looks like these, or even if you're a manifestor also, you just have 2 centers defined. Okay. Whereas this person, okay, is what we call a mental projector, which means that this person is going to have a lot of ideas that's coming through that she's going to want to express, and that's coming right down through the 4323, which is part of the knowing circuit, which is going to mean that she's going to really be expressing downloads from super consciousness through her throat. And this person is going to need to be, again, has no motors. And so this person does need to make sure that they have plenty of rest time. And whereas this person has 3 motors, right? Highly defined, is not going to need anywhere near as much rest time as these other people, okay? Isn't going to need anywhere near as much time on her own either, because she's so defined. There's so, 7 out of the 9 centers are defined, which means she's not going to be picking up other people's energy and amplifying it so much, okay? Plus, this person has got energy both coming from the G into the throat and from the ajna into the throat. So she's really got energy coming from multiple directions into that throat. Whereas this person also has that 4323 coming. It's not coming directly down. So this one is more in the sensing circuit. But again, this person is going to be able to express downloads from super consciousness coming in through here. But this person has also got a defined will. So I'm just going over these really quickly so that you can see there's just so much variability among the different types of projectors and how they can show up. And, that is, it's true to an extent among all of the different types. Like, I have a good friend who I did a reading for who's a manifesting generator. And I think she may only have two centers defined, the sacral to the throat. She's a 3420. Maybe she has another center, but she's a lot of openness. Okay. She has that incredible, she's the most powerful center and the most powerful channel in the whole chart. So she's got an enormous amount of power, but she also has to rest more than some other people do because she doesn't have the other center, the other motors defined. And actually, she can kind of wear herself out with all that energy. So she has to learn how to create more downtime for herself and learn how to rest. So that's why, I super encourage you to, take my class. Let's tell you more about it later. You want to learn more about yourself and the people in your life, get a reading with me, with somebody else. If you haven't already had one, get in depth because you can start to see the level of variability here of what's possible. All right. I do want to just share with you. Actually, Linda, I'm going to quote you here. She's on here today. And this is something that she shared after she took a class with me. It wasn't the Activate Your Superpowers. It was the Messaging Made Easy with Human Design class, which will be coming available again later this fall. But it doesn't really matter. This is more about her getting a deeper sense of herself as a projector. So as a projector, I got more clarity on what it means to wait for invitations. And I will talk about that a little bit more in a moment, and how to become more magnetic so that invitations come my way. Exactly. I don't feel like I have to apologize for who I am anymore. And I have heard this from projectors because they live in a generator world and a manifestor world. I'll come back to that. I'm an orchestrator and proud of it. I help people bring together all the parts of their business and who they are being in the world to create more solid foundation for growth and evolution. Grateful for the support and coaching Maggie provided. So before we move on, let's just talk about this for a minute. And this goes back to what I was saying early on, which is that we do live in a generator world because 70% of our population are either generators, pure generators, or manifesting generators. Okay. So that means that our world is largely dominated, and Ra, who received and then developed the human design system, used to talk about this a lot because he's a manifestor. And so his energy was very different. And he said he could really feel the energy of generators. And we are designed for work. We're designed for sex. We're designed for work. Okay. We are the builders of the world. And we have a huge amount of energy. Okay. And so the dominant idea is that you should be able to work hard, work harder. Right. And, the 40-hour work week, which was actually something was brought about by the labor movement. Before that, in the early 20th century, we didn't have a 40-hour work week. People were working in factories for 60, 80 hours a week. Okay. It was very unhealthy. Can you imagine a projector in that kind of a situation? Okay. Projectors are generally not designed to work 40 hours a week. Certainly not if there are no motors projector. Okay. They will get really exhausted doing that. And part of what Linda was saying and what she said to me, because she's been a client of mine as well as a participant in the past, is like, I used to feel bad because I couldn't work as long in hours. But the truth is, she told me, that I can get more work done. I can get more done in a shorter period of time than people can in twice the amount of time that they do when they're working. Well, when I hear that, part of what I hear is the generators and the manifesting generators are not well situated because they can be enormously productive when they're doing the right work and they're well situated. And the projector, their job is to really be able to orchestrate or facilitate and be the manager and the director of what's going on. And that's one of the projector's superpowers. But living in a generator world, they can often be criticized and put down and rejected because they may not have the level of stamina, um, and be criticized like you're just, you're just weak, or you don't work hard, or you're lazy, or whatever. So I'm hoping to alleviate any pain that those of you who are projectors may have felt around that, because it's just, it's inaccurate and it's inappropriate for who you are. Your superpowers lie elsewhere, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me just see what else you said here, Linda. Yeah, being an orchestrator and being proud of it, and yeah, and being able to help people see the things that they weren't able to see before. Oh yeah, it was the thing about invitations I wanted to say. So I think one of the places that projectors get really hung up, when they learn their projectors and why they reject it, is they go, wait for the invitation. Like, how am I supposed, what does that even mean? How am I supposed to do that? Right. And so the thing that I always say, in my readings and to my clients is, when you're a projector, is to learn to become more magnetic, which is what Linda was saying. Okay. And let's learn to become more magnetic. And this is another place where projectors live in a manifestor world too. And we all live in a manifestor world also, because we've all been taught that we should initiate. We've all been taught that we need to make things happen, that if it's to be, it's up to me, right? I mean, think about how much that has happened. I mean, I bought that hook, line, and sinker, which is why I burned myself out so many times. But think about a projector who's facing that, right? Who wants to go and initiate, and they're supposed to wait for the invitation. Plus, they don't have the energy to initiate in that way, because they're not a manifestor. Manifestor always has a motor to the throat, right? Which is incredible power that a manifestor will have, is they're getting that. It's manifesting energy is having that motor to the throat. Projectors don't have that. So projectors are really designed to be, let me just think about how I want to say this. Projectors are designed to get in touch with what they're here to provide, which are their superpowers. Projectors are here to get in touch with what is really key to their design. So I mentioned Barack Obama, right? And having the 33, which is the retelling gate, right? It's about being able to retell a narrative about what is great for all of us, right? And he is a master at that. So he got in touch with that superpower, which is what the gate where his conscious sun is. Okay, he got in touch with that and mastered that. And as he did that, he received more and more and more and more and more invitations all the time. Okay, that's an example that you can go back to when you want to think about this. Is for projectors to get in touch with and what their superpowers are. And sometimes it's in their centers, but sometimes it's in their gates. Sometimes I showed you before with that one person who had the G connected to the throat through the 1333, right? Or the other one who had the 4323, who was able to bring in the downloads from super consciousness. Those are other parts of their chart that are indicators of their specific superpowers. Okay, so for projectors, a lot of times you need to look at more specific places in their chart in order to get a sense of what their superpowers are. And when they get in touch with those superpowers, they own them, they embrace them, and they develop their lives around their superpowers. They become enormously magnetic to other people. And then the invitations just come. So I think I saw a comment here where it says, waiting for the invitation feels really disempowering. I hear you, Lisa. I've heard that from lots of people. Okay. It's not about being passive. Okay. I want to help you know this. It is not about being passive. The other thing is that I want to, just like with generators, where I say, don't emphasize the wait part, emphasize the respond for generators, and emphasize the being invited for projectors. Okay. The only reason it feels disempowering is that we've all been conditioned to think that we need to act. now. The more we act, the better it's going to go. But I can tell you, I have done readings for and coached manifesting generators who are acting, and they're going like this. And they're acting and they're not going in the right direction. And it's not helpful to them. One of the beauties of human design is it teaches all of us to slow down and to pay attention to what's going on around us and to look for divine timing, which is one of the things that projectors can become incredibly masterful about, and to know when is the right time. The other thing I want to throw in here, because I want to make sure that we have plenty of time, I have some more slides, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time to talk, is that projectors can ask questions. And that's something you can always do. So while you're waiting for the invitation, if you will, if you're in a group of people, you can ask questions. And generators love to be asked questions. Everybody loves to be asked questions, actually. But generators, especially because they have something to respond to. And so you can start engaging things that way. And it's also how people can then start asking you questions and invite you to share what you have to do. The thing, what you have to say, what it is that you provide. And the thing is that projectors are really, well, let me go into the superpowers here. Okay. And I'll emphasize it through here. So some of the superpowers of projectors is that they can see the big picture. Okay. They have this ability to be able to go, oh, what's the big picture? How can I step back and see the whole thing, right? We generators are kind of like building. And sometimes our heads are just down. Right? Manifestors are initiating, I'm going to initiate, right? Whereas projectors can be like, oh, okay, let me step back and take a look at the whole big picture. Because they're good at that, they can then orchestrate well or facilitate well, right? Is they can actually go, oh, I can see the big picture. So it should kind of, maybe it could go like this, or maybe it could go like that. They're good at being able to read and tune into generators and manifesting generators. Projectors really need other people to activate them. They need other people to activate their energy, and generators do that really well. Manifestors do that well also. But because they're good at reading or getting to know or to understand generators, they're good at helping to tune into what do, like, they can be good as a manager, like at the head of a team, or the head of a company, or head of an organization, where they can be like, oh, okay, be really great, for the different people to be doing these different things, because they can get a sense of that. They can also be great at facilitating because they can ask questions, bring people in, see how the whole conversation is going, seeing if the meeting is going well. They can be really good at that. They're here to be wise, especially I think especially the ones who are not as defined, because they are the ones who are going to be bringing in all of that energy through their open centers and amplifying it and developing a lot of wisdom through that, which is then going to feed their ability to orchestrate what's going on. It's going to feed their ability to see the big picture, and to be able to facilitate what's happening. This is what makes them the leaders of our evolving world. According to Ra, the manifestors used to be the leaders of the world. They were like the Napoleons and the Hitlers of the world. But the time of the manifestor is falling away, and we're now evolving into a different type of world, which has different values. And the projectors are really here to help us with that, because they're not so much about, manifestors can be a bit more tuned into power and being coercive and being controlling. They don't have to be, but they tend to be. And whereas projectors are not as committed to that, generally speaking, and they're able to see that bigger picture. They're able to kind of see where things go and how people can best be facilitated with their own gifts and talents, their skills and their life experience. And that's what we really need in our world as we are moving forward. Okay. So, like, as I said a minute ago, because projectors vary so incredibly much, some of their challenges and some of their superpowers will vary enormously depending on the rest of their design. And projectors, it's really good for projectors to study their human design deeply, more than more than the other types, more than any of the other types, because, like I said, they do vary, and what turns out to be their superpowers, as well as their challenges, are tend to be much more different from each other than it is for, like, for generators, manifesting generators, manifestors in particular. The themes tend to be more consistent. Of course, they vary based on your design, but the themes tend to be more consistent. Okay. So what are your most vital questions for you as a projector? What am I most excited about and committed to? Because when you have clarity about that and you are putting your energy there, that's when you'll start to receive the invitations. Am I feeling bitter or satisfied? If you're feeling bitter, you're not in touch with what makes you excited and what you're committed to. Okay. Or you're not committed to what you're excited about. You might be committed to something else. Like, you could be committed to your victim consciousness, which unfortunately I see in projectors a lot. And that can make you bitter. Okay. So ideally, you're going to feel excited and satisfied, and you're going to be committed to the things that make you feel that way. Depending on your design, you want to look at, am I getting enough? Am I resting enough? And I'm getting enough alone type. So if you have more openness, and this is also really true for manifestors, am I getting resting enough and getting enough alone time? So I've known, I'll talk about this more when we talk about manifestors, but I have some manifestor friends who've really, really burned out. Am I being patient? How can I be more patient? Okay. Because yes, sometimes projectors have to wait for the bigger invitations to come along. They do. Sometimes they do. And so patience is something to really cultivate. And how can you engage in your life while you're being patient? Getting involved with what excites you, with what you feel is your good work. What is your sacred work? What are you here to contribute? What in your relationships makes you happy? What is building your health and your vitality, right? Because the happiest projectors I know are people who take really, really good care of themselves physically, as well as emotionally. Okay. And then, how can I trust my inner guidance? Now, let me just say one thing about this, about the inner guidance piece, because a lot of times projectors, when they get their printout, it says no inner guidance. Okay. Which I know feels like a sentence or something. I have no inner guidance. And what I want to emphasize here is that your inner guidance may be different for you as a projector. Generally speaking, regardless of your other forms of your definition, projectors do best when they are talking out the decisions that they want to make. Okay. Generally speaking, that is how projectors do the best, is if they have a high quality listener. You've probably heard me say this before. A high quality listener who will reflect back to them, who will ask clarifying questions, won't be giving advice, but I'll really be holding a space for them and helping to draw the projector out. Now, it does not have to be that way. Simrate, who is actually here today, told me that she does really well with that in her journal. And she figured that out by herself long before she came to human design. Great. I think that's awesome. So you can try that also. But my point is that you do have inner guidance. It's just that you need to access it through having it come out somehow, whether that's through writing or through talking it out. It's still, the inner guidance is going to come through to you. If you're one of those people who has that 4323, talking it out helps open that channel so that you can plug into super consciousness. Okay. Everybody's going to have it from somewhere. If your spleen's defined, it's going to come from your spleen. If it's coming from your emotional solar plexus, it's going to come from there. If it's coming from your G center, your heart, it's going to be coming from your heart. Okay. It's always going to be there. And it's also, you can be pulling from your openness as well, and the wisdom that you've developed in your openness. So I just want to invite you to really think about trusting. How can I trust my inner guidance? Because I think projectors, especially if you have a thing that says that you have no inner guidance, a lot of times get confused about that, and sometimes can be kind of despondent. Okay, so again, if you're starting to feel bitter, which is the theme of the projector, if they're not feeling excited and committed to what is their right contribution and sacred work to do, then you want to be really looking at, am I trusting my inner guidance? And if I'm not, how can I be more? Okay, let's all take a big breath. Okay, so I want to just tell you a little bit more about this course, and then we'll open it up for questions, both about the course and then everything else. And then I'll be reading your comments. Thank you for putting your comments in, and go ahead and just keep putting your comments and your ahas in there and anything else that you got out of today. Okay, so your Activate Your Superpowers class, it's a 10 class program, and it is delivered through training videos that I've done. So they're available on demand. And you also can get audios of the videos, okay? Because some people really prefer to like to have an audio, and then you can have slides, and so you can watch it that way. You want to be away from your computer. You don't want to be watching on a device that same way. Or sometimes people like to do this at the gym, however it is. But there's a whole series of videos, and then audios and slides, and then worksheets. So every class except for the first one and the last one has a worksheet. And then I'm doing Q&A sessions once a month, August to December. And those of you who are on here who have taken this class before, if you want to come into the coaching sessions between now and the end of the year, I'm totally fine to have you do that. Happy to give you that as a little bonus. Again, you can go to sovereigntybydesign.com/AYSP-program to get all of the details about that. The content of the course is the parts of the human design chart, the human design archetypes, which we've just been going over. I'll also be adding these webinars that I've been doing so that you'll have these to go alongside the other videos that I've already done. The inner authority, which is how you make your decisions, the 9 centers, including a whole class on the 4 motors and motorized throats. I think that this is such a important part, is really understanding the motors and how you're getting this power to the throat, and how that works for you if you don't already have a motorized throat. Like I've come to really understand, for example, when I come around somebody who has the 20, which is on the throat, my 34 connects to the 20, and that motorizes my throat, boom, like that, and what that's like for me, what that experience is like for me. And so it's a super important thing for you to get. So we go over all the 9 centers, both looking at the how you experience them when they're open or when they're defined, and then what the challenges are and what the superpowers are. Your definition and openness, which is just such a huge thing to really be understanding in human design. Your incarnation cross, which everybody loves. It's your life purpose. The lines of the hexagram that tell you about your profile, and your profile is really kind of like the character of who you are. If your type is your role, then your profile is your character in life. The 3 primary circuits, which super vital. The circuits help us understand how, not just how energy moves, but kind of like our overall orientation. Like I know when I came to understand that I have primarily individual circuitry, it explained so much about my life, because I have never really fit in, and I always bring change, and I'm always creating new things, and that turns out to be part of my individual circuitry. But when I was younger in my life and I didn't understand that, I thought some of the things were problems, right? And so my whole thing about teaching you about your superpowers and helping you to get what I think of as the awakened and powerful ways to utilize the aspects of your design is that you can actually embrace the things that maybe you criticized, other people criticized. I know I certainly had that. I've seen that in reading after reading and lots of clients. And then also how to turn things that you might have thought were a liability into an asset. How can you take something that you thought was a problem and turn it into a superpower? So that's my orientation throughout this entire class, is how do you do that? How do you come to understand this? And these fundamentals that are here are enough for you to get a pretty deep dive in your own chart. And it's also enough if you work with clients or you work with students, that you can, or with patients, because I have people who are medical professionals who find this helpful also, because then you can start to understand burnout, for example, much better. And this will give you enough to be able to help, your clients or your students or your patients from a human design point of view. Obviously, it's not like being a specialist. It took me years to learn to be a specialist, so it's not like that. But it did give me enough for, but this will give you enough to be able to do that. Okay, so I do have a special for you, which is $200 off the pricing through August 20th. I'm sorry, August 12th, which is next Wednesday. And then also for the first 5 people who register, I'm going to give you a 15-minute reading as a bonus. Okay. So I know some of you are emotionally defined, so you need some time. So I'm giving you a week. And some of you already know probably that you want the class, and that's great. And so I want to reward you for doing that. So you get it both either way. And just as a little reminder here, what you get is you get 10 classes. You get one every week for 10 weeks. And then you get a coaching call every once a month for the next, so August, September, October, November, December, so the next 5 months. So you get all your questions answered, and you get your you get coaching, and you can learn so much just even coming and listening to other people's. Okay, so if you go ahead and register, you'll get use the coupon. Oh, here it is. Sorry, use the coupon save 20. And you'll get $20, $200 off for the next week. So it's bringing it down to $197. It's basically half price. And for the first 5 people, you'll get a 15-minute reading with me as a bonus. All right, that is what I wanted to share with you. And let's see. It looks like Catherine, let's see. All right, Catherine, can you just put whatever your question is? I'm not sure why you raised your hand, if you wanted to come on and talk, but you can let me know. Okay, I'm just going to put this in here again. And I'm going to stay on. I know I'm going to stay on however long you have questions for, okay? sovereigntybydesign.com/AY superpowers program. And then it's save 200 is the code. All right, so I'm going to start going back through the comments here. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, I think I'm here. Wondering if it's recorded. Yes, it's recorded. I said that a couple of times. I have tons of energy as a projector coming from root, and the 2838. Well, the 2838 also, Connor, is an interesting energy. It's a super powerful energy in and of itself. So yeah, we could talk a lot about that one. All right. Let me see here. Let's see. Will that be a recording? Hi, Linda Bard. Hi there. No, I can't imagine. Linda, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Okay, even by ourselves, I've thought that about myself. Okay, good. Okay, we talked about that being disempowering. Yes. Okay. So I understand waiting for the invitation means regarding big decisions and choices in life, not necessarily so much mundane day-to-day activities. Yes, I would say that that's true. It has to do with like starting a new job, starting a new business, engaging in a relationship, any of that kind of stuff. Absolutely. It's not about you have to be invited to go to the grocery store. Okay. And you also, as a projector, want to start being able to get a sense of how can you create your life so that you get invited. One thing you can do is to tell your friends that you're a projector and that it's really great for you to be invited. So that's one thing you can do. But you also want to start thinking about how can you sell yourself up that way, and asking questions is one of the ways that you can get invited. Okay. All right. So Karina says, are superpowers to do with channels in our charts? Absolutely. See, here's the thing. There are superpowers everywhere in your chart. Okay. Everywhere in your chart, there are superpowers. And a lot of them, a lot of them are not ones that you've ever been taught about, or ones like that one I said, the 4323, which is about super consciousness. I think somebody asked a question about that, which I'll say. I never got taught about the 4323. As you know, I have the 43, it plugs directly into super consciousness. I never got taught about that. Okay. So a lot of them are like that. Okay. I learned that the invitation is also two-way invite. In other words, I am invited in, and the invitation has to be accepted by me. Right. Of course. You don't have to accept an invitation just because you're invitated. You're invitated. You're invited. Yes, absolutely. You have to, you want to be able to, you want to make sure that it's right for you. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, Connor, I'm not sure what you're saying. You're saying 4323. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Okay, how can I trust my spleen and know if that is the inner voice spleen or not self? Been trying to listen, that calm once inner voice, but I feel like it's been telling me all this time and I've been ignoring it. 4323. Yeah, so yes, so by talking it out loud, or like I said, Simmerit figured out how to do it in her journal. So you know, we find different ways, okay, to do it. But I would say that one thing that I always say to everyone, so I don't use the term not self anymore. I know that Rob was really big on that. But the thing is if your spleen's defined, Connor, you have to look at your gates, because you may have fear gates. So because all the gates in the spleen are fear gates. So you want to be aware of that piece and be paying attention to, like, the 28 is a fear gate. And so you want to be attuned to that and be like, okay, you know, could I be having fear that's associated with my 28? Because that is not going to give you right guidance. Okay. It's going to come from fear. It's going to come from instinct. So right guidance is never going to come from fear. I can just say that. Hopefully that's clear. Okay. Simrit says, since the course with you, Maggie, I've learned to ask people to hear me talk things out, and I love it and value it. Yay. Glad to hear that. Okay. Connor says, I just bought the program, so only 2 videos are available. I wanted to watch all 10. You know what, Connor, send me an email about that. They're being dropped every week, so you'll get one every week. Okay, so that's kind of how it goes. The thing is that I would just say to you, and this is for all of you who are going to take this course, is you want to, as these get dropped, there's a worksheet. And I want you to actually take the assignment and work the assignment and not just consume all the information, right? Because we tend to be consumers. We're a consumer society. We've been taught to consume, to eat information. But it doesn't mean that we then integrate it or that we then act on it. So Connor, I would just say that to you, is to, you know, don't just consume the information, but actually integrate it and act on it. Okay. But you can send me an email if you really want to move a little bit faster. I'm not exactly sure how to do that because our system isn't set up that way, but let me know. Okay, Maria says, what do I mean by super consciousness? Higher self, subconscious, connection with source, all of these? Not subconscious. No, it doesn't mean subconscious. So it kind of depends on your worldview about these things. Okay, I do not consider higher self and super consciousness to be the same thing. Higher self is more of, it's more like our souls. It's more like the soul. Okay, it's closer in. So the soul or the higher self is kind of like it's like the consciousness that's in our aura, if you will. It's like something that's closer in. Then super consciousness is we plug in through the 61 and it comes right down through this channel, and that's literally plugging right. It's the beginning of the knowing circuit. And the knowing circuit is, which I have a lot of, is we don't know how we know what we know. We just know. We didn't learn it anywhere. We didn't read in a book. We didn't take a class about it. Nothing like that. Okay. We just know what we know. And so that's the beginning of that knowing circuit. And that's where we plug into super consciousness. So yes, you could call that connection with source. Absolutely. But I would definitely not call it subconscious. And I don't really consider it higher self, but some other people might. Okay. It kind of depends on how you see these things. And Simrit says the Q&A sessions were the best. They were. Yes. Okay. Super consciousness can mean getting a download, so to speak. Yes, it can. Catherine says, such an odd combination I am. An extroverted projector. No, not at all. I mean, not at all. I mean, think about Barack Obama. It's totally extroverted. I have a really good friend who's a projector, one of my best friends. He's very extroverted. So no, not necessarily. This is what I'm saying. There's a lot of misconceptions about projectors that are out there. Mick Jagger is a projector. Okay. Barbara Streisand is a projector. These people, you know what I mean? Like, they may have an introverted side, but okay. Okay, as projectors, it's important to re-review the real about who we are. Yeah, absolutely. What advice do you have for this self-employed projector? You know what, Catherine, could you say more about specifically, because there's a lot of different things that I could speak to about that. So just say more if I'll come back to it if I need to. Okay. Simrit also says, how does it work if we've taken the course before and we want to review? Well, Simrit, the all of the materials are still available to you. So you absolutely can just review the materials. And like I said, you can come and join in to the Q&A calls if you want. Just shoot me an email and I'll make sure. Actually, I'm going to send an email to all of you who took it before and let you know that you can do that anyway. All right. Are projectors superpowers also in their undefined centers? Absolutely. Absolutely. They are. So, and this is true for everyone, is that our open centers can become huge superpowers. Like, I'll just use, and you probably, those of you who've been coming to these, may have heard me say this before, like, my throat is open. Okay. And I have experienced a lot of the downside of the open throat, but I've also experienced a lot of the upside. And it's become a huge superpower for me because I am a natural born teacher, right? And when I'm here connecting with all of you, it's connecting my throat in a variety of different ways. And so I become super articulate when I'm with a group. And so it makes me a really great speaker and a really great teacher because everything gets hooked up. And so it totally can become a superpower for you. And that can be true for anybody with any of your centers. Okay. But it depends on, you need to learn how to work it and you need to be able to release any negative conditioning that you have about it, which some people do. Okay. It's a little more complex, but I think that answers it. Okay. Okay. Besides asking questions, I have found that so Cindy says, besides asking questions, I found that being clear about what I want to be invited about. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's part of the point. But what I was saying is, what are you excited about? What are you committed to? Right? Because when you're really engaged with that, you're going to become super magnetic because your aura is going to be going like about what you're excited about, right? That happens to any of us, right? And so you get your G involved and you get your emotions involved, and then you're just, people are going to be like, what is she got going on? I want to go find out, right? So totally, absolutely, I agree with you, Cindy. Okay. So Connor says, my mom was a shaman lineage, and I just found out that about a year ago by healing my trauma. Interesting. Lisa says, since learning more about asking questions this past week, I've been playing around with asking specific questions instead of saying, let me know. For example, do you want to do a class with me? Instead of, let me know if you want to do a class with me. Interesting. So that's inviting someone, right? Do you want to do a class with me? Are you talking about as a projector? Lisa, I'm sorry I don't remember if you're a projector. So I think it's always good to ask questions. And it's because look, think of it this way. 70% of the world are generators, pure generators, manifesting generators. We love being asked questions because we want something to respond to. 20%, 22% people say are projectors, want to be invited. That's 90% of us. Okay, 90% of us. So of course you want to ask questions because we all want to be able to respond or be invited. Okay. Sherry says, are there any physical ailments, headaches that projectors are more prone to than other types? Depends on the rest of their design. Yeah, there's not enough. I mean, the thing that projectors like manifestors are prone to is burnout because they try to act like generators or like manifestors. That is, I would say. But as we saw, so there was one projector who had 3 motors, right? Who's, I mean, definitely could burn out. I mean, anybody can burn out if they're working against their design. I have multiple times. But okay. All right. Wasn't JFK a projector? Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to go look. I don't just think that guiding people are not just projector, which I've been investigating quite. I feel like, okay. I don't really understand that one. Okay. All right, some really exciting. Yeah, I would love to have you come and join us, take it again, review it all. Because, here's the thing. When you take one of these classes with me, you have ongoing access to it for as long as I can make it happen. I mean, I'm not going to take it away. Okay. So it'll always be there for you. And I think that it is good to go back and review again, because it takes a while to really absorb and integrate and really understand all of this. Okay. Catherine says, I've been self-employed working with clients and teaching for years. Now, post-COVID, I feel, oh, you think it's post-COVID? I feel really blocked in initiating an online version. I find myself wondering if without them manifesting or generating qualities of a shy. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Catherine, what I would do is, if you've been doing this for years, this is a longer conversation, but the thing that I would say is that, let me just see how I want to say this, is to start asking questions. Like, ask the people that have already been your clients and your students, is to ask them if they want an online version. And if you're online, like, get online somewhere, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere else, and be getting familiar with online if you're not already. And if you are online, start asking questions and seeing if people are interested. Because if you ask questions and people say, yes, I'm interested, then you can start seeing, and then you can ask another question. If I were to put this class together, is this something people would be interested in? Yes, I would love it if you would teach that class, Catherine. Then you can start getting invitations. There's always ways around this. Okay. I just want to say that to you. There's always ways around it. Okay. And I just want to say, in the Q&As that I do for this class and any class, I offer any questions that you want. Okay. And to give you coaching on stuff. So I could give you more coaching on things like that. Okay. I think Cindy had another thing here. Yeah, she said, nice, clever. I get migraines when my energy is drained, and I have all open motor centers. Yeah. So I would say your body is a messenger of when you're in dis-ease. Absolutely. And if you have you're a no motor projector. Yeah. Well, what a migraine is a sign that you're exhausted. Okay. So yes, you can get a headache, but what's the source? It's from exhaustion. Okay. Oh, yay. Karina just signed up. Yay. Excellent. Welcome. And Sharon, do the energies of the gates move in certain directions, like towards, that's a great question. So it's interesting because we kind of keep talking about this, with Karen, who's my mentor in our like advanced student classes about how the energy moves. And the thing that Karen has finally come down on is to say, if human design was a game, the object of the game is to get energy to the throat. So whichever way it's moving is to get energy to the throat. Yes. Do we see that the circuits move in a certain way, comes down and around? And, yes, we generally teach it that way. But Karen is just like, what really matters is how do you get energy to the throat? How is that happening? And even more, how do you get manifesting energy, right? From a motor to the throat. And that's like, for me, when I said, when I'm around somebody who has the 20, right, which is on the throat, and I have the 34, it connects my 34 to the 20. And so I get the sacral going directly to my throat. Boom, right? So for me, that's a super powerful connection for me to have in a relationship, is to have somebody who has the 20, as an example. Okay. So I'm trying to get that energy to my throat. It also brings the 57 to my throat, which is my intuition. It also brings the 10 to my throat, which is the self-love. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, will you cover in the class anything on splenic projectors? Well, so Sherry, here's the thing. If you're one of the first 5 people, you get a little reading with me. And I think that would probably be the best way to do it, because yes, I mean, it's not, I don't have a class on splenic projectors. Okay. And if you're a splenic projector and you have a question about your chart, then we'll cover that in the Q&As. And that's true for any of you, depending on whatever your chart is. We often look at charts during the Q&As, right? Because the whole idea of the Q&A and coaching is sometimes I do clarification on the information per se, but also it's like you bring questions about your chart, right? So I'm happy to do that. So absolutely, but I don't have a specific, you know, it would take years for me to build classes about all the different particulars. And like I said, if you're one of the first 5, then I do a little reading with you, and that's great. Then that would be fun. All right. All right. I think that is where we're at. I'm going to come over here to Facebook. I need to close this. Any of you here who are on Facebook who are still on? There are a few of you on. I'm sorry, I neglected you a little bit. I tend to do that sometimes because I'm on the Zoom thing here. So for any of you here, questions? I'm just going to put it in. And then I also would love for you to be just putting in, because we're winding down here, your ahas for today. What did you get out? What did you get out of what we shared today? That would be great. Yeah. There's more than hope. There's more than hope, Catherine. I love the appreciation that I just love to know, what did you get? Like, give me one thing that you got. Like, oh, I get to ask questions as a projector. Oh, or projectors are all different kinds, or whatever it might be. Okay. There's more than hope. There's more than hope. There's more than hope. All right. So if you do have any other questions about the class, you can email me at admin@ostara and just let me know what they are. Okay. All right. Looks like we're winding down. Looks like I waited too late for the people on Facebook. I'm sorry, you Facebook people. All right. I know we're 15 minutes over. Mwah. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now. Oh, wait, we got one comment here. A couple here. Most vital question. What am I most excited about and committed to? Great. The importance of being magnetic and to ask questions instead of giving other people a long lecture, which I tend to do. Yeah, nobody likes to be lectured. They only want your lecture when they've asked for it. And I've heard that generators should invite projectors, but that generators should ask questions of generators. Yeah. And here's the thing, the distinction between a question and an invitation is a little bit murky in a lot of situations, right? Because if you're a projector and somebody asks you a question, they're basically asking you or inviting you to share your opinion. Okay. All How long are the video lessons? They are anywhere from, I think the shortest one is maybe half an hour. They usually run about 40 minutes to an hour. There's a couple of them that I broke into two. I would say the average is about an hour. Yeah, about an hour. Okay, any other questions like that about the class? Right, and Catherine says the lessons are helpful and the worksheets are so helpful. Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. Anybody else? Any other questions before I sign off? Okay. Well, like I said, just email me if you do have any questions. I think I put my email in here. Just admin@ostaraexperience.com and I'll get back to you. No, and I think we're off on Facebook. Okay. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now. See you next week. Manifestors next week.